English 1102 friends. This is a video going through the story Big Bad Love by Mary Miller. This is a somewhat complicated story, so you be a little patient with me, but we're going to go through it. You see Mary Miller here. Mary Miller's still alive. She's a relatively young writer. She's a Southern writer from Mississippi, worked in Texas, works in Mississippi now. So, in this story, Big Bad Love is set in Mississippi. This story is from her book that came out in 2009, so it's about 10 or 12, it's over a decade old, but it's not that old, clearly. We can recognize a lot of the stuff that happens in this story as part of contemporary experience. This story is under the characters in the family and community section, the family and community module, and it is because this is a story, the narrator in this story works at a children's home, at something that people a long time ago would have called an orphanage. This is a temporary facility for kids who, have been taken away from their parents. In this case, and the other main character is Diamond, who has been taken away from her parents because of some kind of abuse. The story, you never really know exactly how bad things were for Diamond. But the story hints at physical abuse. She's got scars. The story hints at this kind of sexual abuse multiple times because she acts out this sexualized behavior that a 7-year-old little girl shouldn't be acting out. The suggestion of the story is that she's clearly gone through some awful stuff, some really awful stuff. And the narrator, and this is why it's in the family and community, the narrator is having some kind of interaction with her, some kind of relationship with her that she doesn't have with the other kids, connecting with her. They are forging a kind of almost family relationship. And you feel multiple times in the story like the narrator may be thinking, I'll just adopt her, I'll take her. And the story ends with her taking her away from the home and bringing her home even on her off day. So there is this connection that's beyond the limits of the narrator's job duties. And you get that, the story sets you up for that right from the beginning. The first paragraph of this story sort of gives you the idea of the story. The roller skates are busted, and the bikes have flat tires, and the wagon is full of leaves and rainwater, but they're used to these things. And so right from the beginning, you get this image of all this stuff that could be good, but is broken. But they're used to these things. The kids are these kids who have been broken and treated poorly, which is how they ended up at this group home. They've been taken away. They pedal harder, skate without bending their knees. They make adjustments. That's what's happening here. This is a story about people who have had bad things that might break people happen to them, but they make adjustments. And then I sit in a chair by the door and sweat. Fat drops run down my sides, cool and itchy as bugs. And then here's the narrator in the middle of it, trying to help these kids make adjustments. And then immediately you get Diamond, the 7-year-old little girl, who's the other main character in the story. Diamond pulls the wagon in front of me and drops the handle. I ignore her, so she shoves it into my legs, and I continue ignoring her. So she goes and stands in an ant bed. When she starts screaming, I run over and pick her up, move her to the sidewalk, and take off one of her sandals, wipe at the ants while she stomps. Right there, you get the other big idea of the story in the second paragraph, where Diamond wants attention, is acting out, and part of what happens over and over again in this story is Diamond acting out. The sort of climax of this story, the high point of this story, arguably, is when Diamond has this comes back from the special foster home that was supposed to work and supposed to take care of her, and has this just absolute meltdown. The narrator in the story puts her in her room, and Diamond just melts down and breaks things in her room. But the narrator can deal with it. The narrator can deal with her in a way that nobody else in this story, including the specially trained foster parent, they just can't deal with her. But the narrator and Diamond have some kind of connection, and she can just handle her in this special way that nobody else can. And even when she's melting down and saying that her dad's going to kill the narrator and all this stuff, the narrator understands this is just because of the awful things that have happened to her, and that she's trying to get through it the best she can, and she can handle her. You get the physical abuse stuff almost immediately in the story, where she says, we'll scroll down here, right here. I touch the darker spots on her arm, places that haven't healed well, and then go into my boss's office and open the supply cabinets. And so she's holding Diamond in her lap, and she comments on how she's got these bruises or scars or whatever they are on her arm that haven't healed. And again, the suggestion here is that Diamond has been through some kind of physical abuse. You get the first section of this story. This story has three sort of pretty obvious sections. The first section where they go swimming and you sort of find out about the home and get introduced to all the kids that are there, especially the baby that's there, the baby that's been neglected, who's the other kid that the narrator really seems to be trying to help. Then there's a middle section where Diamond goes away and then comes back, and then there's that last section, the section where the narrator takes her home. And so you get these sort of three parts to this story. You find out, and you meet the baby, you find out about the baby. The baby is still asleep, snoring lightly because her nose is stopped up, and you find out that the baby has been neglected and had a flat spot on its head because the mom never took care of it, and all these awful things. Again, a lot of the beginning of this story is devoted to this sort of showing you this home and letting you meet these people and showing you how bad things are. You know, like they don't have food and they're depending on food from a local food pantry. The narrator straight out says, let's see if we can find, I shove her into the diaper. I can't find I shove her dirty diaper into the genie part. But she says, we live in the poorest state in the country. We have an abundance of unemployed people and more illegitimate babies than we know what to do with. But that section ends with this right here where they're talking about going to the pool. They end up, like I said, they take the girls to the pool. They have to find these sort of piece together these bathing suits for the kids. You get the food bank stuff. Monique is flouring pork chops and open number 10 can of black-eyed peas. I'm in charge of nutrition. The girls ask Monique if she can go to the pool. They decide to take all the kids to the pool. You even have another scene at the pool where Diamond acts out this sort of inappropriate sexualized behavior where she's humping the narrator's leg. That is right down here, where the narrator has to say it's impolite to hump someone's foot. So again, the suggestion is that all these bad things have happened to Diamond that have caused her to behave in the ways that she behaves and to be like fearful of people and those kinds of things. And the narrator is just trying to help them. The narrator's trying to help all these kids. She talks about two of the other kids, Angel and Tasia, and then you see them fighting in the pool. In the shallow end, Angel holds Tasia's head underwater. They call each other a bunch of bad names. This section ends with them playing, and you also find out in this section right near the end of it. Let's see if we can find it. This is where you find out that the narrator has taken Diamond home before. I wait to pull her out, but she just twirls and thinks about the first time I think about the first time I took her home, parked the van in my driveway and introduced her to my husband and my dog. That sort of foreshadows what you're going to get in that last section of the story, the third section of the story. We sat on my couch and ate cold pizza, and my husband let her touch his hair. And right after that is where, you find out that some family is going to adopt Diamond. Let's see if we can find out. She tells me they found her a foster home where she'll be the only child, the woman trained to deal with children who have problems. We both know Diamond isn't the kind of child anyone can be trained for, but I don't say this. My boss puts the wing down and picks up a thigh. I find Diamond in her room, sitting on the bed she doesn't sleep in. You're leaving, I say. We have to pack your stuff. Again, the sitting on the bed she doesn't sleep in, sort of the suggestion there is she's not comfortable being in her bed. You know, you're getting some more like signs of abuse, signs of really inappropriate abuse of this child. So this is the section, that middle section I was talking about, where the Diamond is taken away. I buckle Diamond in the back seat of a brown sedan, sit with her when my boss talks to her social worker. The social workers are all pleasant and cheaply dressed. You'll be back, I want to tell her, because she always comes back, but maybe she won't this time. And the narrator doesn't want to let her go, but is hopeful that maybe she can find somebody that can care for her and that loves her after all she's been through. Maybe she'll flourish under this specially trained foster mother. Maybe this woman will adopt her, she'll go to college and make good grades and have lots of friends, The narrator's trying to be positive. I hold her hand and we sit quietly until the woman gets in her car and looks back at us. Diamond is gone 5 days. The only difference is she has less stuff now. So that next section jumps you forward 5 days, and the narrator is right. It didn't work out. Diamond's back. This is where you get the section that I was talking about, where she sort of has this meltdown. The narrator's trying to comfort her and bring her back in, bring her back into the home. But then she pushes the baby. Then she pushes the baby, who falls cushioned on her ass. And so she pushes the baby down. Then the narrator has to put her in her room. I drag Diamond to her room, hold the door closed, and she has this meltdown in her room, screaming and breaking stuff and threatening the narrator. You're gonna die, she says. My daddy gonna kill you. And again, more suggestions that her dad is this sort of violent, abusive person. That section, which, like I said, most people read as the climax of this story, is when Diamond is finally calmed down. The narrator gives her a bath to sort of calm her down. The next day I'm not working, but I go in anyway and pick up Diamond. Is this next section. My boss doesn't care and no one else knows what's going on. This is where the story shifts away from Diamond. You had hopes that Diamond could go to this foster home and have a better life. Well, that didn't work. Then she comes back and has this meltdown, and you find out that the narrator is the only one who can deal with her, can calm her down, can sort of comfort her and soothe her. And then then the story shifts into this last section, this third section, where she comes and takes Diamond home, and it's very clear that they've got something beyond just like the narrator's professional interaction with her, because she takes her home to her husband, takes her to the mall to play with. My boss doesn't care. No one else knows what goes on. I've only seen the director twice. And so I take her back to her room, go through the drawers, which are full of clothes that don't belong to her. And she gets her dressed and takes her home. There is also this connection in the story between, to go back to the idea of broken things and things that don't act right or don't behave right or that have been damaged. There is the narrator's dog, too, who is this sort of wild dog that doesn't like people and bites people. It is an unpredictable animal that barks at nothing. It doesn't like people, but loves other dogs and even cats. Again, a lot of the main characters in this story, including the dog, don't get along well with other people and need sort of special care and special love. I had wanted a dog for years and felt certain it was my fault, despite what the vet said. That some dogs are born bad, like some people. And there is this suggestion that nobody's born bad in this story. Diamond wasn't born bad. She was she was abused. She was broken. Somebody like her dad's abuse damaged her. And the narrator is trying to bring her back from being broken, like that image at the beginning of the story of the toys and the roller skates and stuff. The narrator takes her home. They have ice cream. Then the narrator takes her to the mall for food. Then we sit at a two-top and I watch her eat while she watches the children play on the plastic tree, a replica of the one at Disney World. So she's trying to give Diamond some kind of semblance of what normal kid, like the happy experiences normal kids have. Diamond ends up playing on the playground. There's another scene where she befriends a white boy and slaps him on the ass once, good and hard, but nobody seems to mind. Again, more like inappropriate behavior that suggests the bad stuff that's happened to her. But the narrator is trying to give her this normal experience that other kids get to have, this other happy experience of playing on this playground. And then you get this scene right at the end the ending line that people often talk about. And then I open them and look at Diamond. I look at an old man eating an ice cream cone, spinning the swirl of vanilla over his tongue. I watch him the same way he watches me, blankly, without interest, and wonder if Diamond will remember that someone loved her once, if she'll have any memory of me at all. And the narrator tells you at the end that she loves Diamond, and that she wishes she could do more for her and take care of her because she is so special and so damaged and has been through so much. And the narrator is the only one that really connects with her. And that gives you the title of this story, Big Bad Love. Like, to love something bad, it has to be this kind of big love that sort of overpowers the badness of things. This like flawed but big, powerful force, which is the sort of her desire, her connection to Diamond, and her desire to help Diamond and love her. So this is very much a story that is not about a traditional family, but it's about like this connection that these people make that feels something like family and could be family, if they followed it to its natural ending. I hope that helps you understand this story, and I hope it helps you understand how this story fits in that family and community. Part of family is the family that you make, not necessarily the family you're born into, and you can see that sort of making happening in this story. So again, I hope that helps you understand this story. Thanks, everybody.